LSU Spring Game talk. Like I said, Jake, I have about a million different thoughts on this, positive, negative. We should probably preface it with saying that this is the spring game, okay? And so I don't want to sit here and have to, like, temper all of my thoughts. So I would say I'm going to do it like this. Don't take these as concrete takes as much as they are. We're almost planning these takes, okay? We've dug holes and we kind of tilled the fields, and these are the first seeds of takes that we will watch either flower or die over the next few months. So these are not the final product. These are the first steps. But I do want to be able to actually engage in, like, the film and what you saw and what your kind of takeaways are. There's a lot of different ways we can frame this. I think of a few key questions that I want to get your thoughts on, if you're okay with that. Okay, so very broad one off the bat. Overall feeling leaving that game. Do you think more or less of this LSU football team? I mean, I know that I had very high expectations coming in.
I think they are on the path where they need to be. And this seems so basic and fundamental, but as we saw last year, it's not. The defense lined up where they were supposed to line up. They communicated with each other. They had a presence about them that I just didn't see all of 2020. So, like, just very general, that was good to see. And it seems so elementary, but last year, after what we saw, it was good to see them get back to who we think they can be. Offensively, the thing that I absolutely loved was all the different formations of empty. Loved that.
Yeah.
I loved all of the shifts and motions pre-snap. I love the fact that the running back is also going to be involved in some of the two-man route combinations. Now, you got to find a running back that can do it.
Who is the running back?
That's a
one of
real
the
question.
Major questions.
But there was a lot of different formations as well. And, I mean, you had a tight bunch, which I love. You had tight doubles, which I love. Of course, you had all the other spread concepts. So there was we'll get to some of the individual performances, but what we were told, what it was going to look like as far as defensive alignment, offensive alignment, kind of philosophy, we did see some of that.
Yeah, the Joe Brady philosophy and the offense that he established a couple of years ago.
The tempo was definitely there too.
Was absolutely back. You could just tell all the core concepts. Right? The main goal of that offense is to get the ball to playmakers in space. I mean, look at the opening touchdown from Kayshon Boutte that was called back. How familiar did a wide-open, deep crosser feel to anybody who watched a ton of 2019 LSU football? And that was completely schemed up by the route combinations. And there were a couple times where they had those free runners. I think overall, Jake, if I'm being completely honest, and maybe I think it's a function of me having higher expectations. I think it's a function of also missing some key bodies, whether it's, a lot in the running back room, Bug Strong in the linebacker room, like Andre Anthony, Ali Gay maybe on the edge. I think I come away from it actually a bit less bullish on this LSU team. Not that it really matters. It is spring, whatever. But like I said, I think I thought that there would be more dynamic playmaking. There certainly was with Kayshon Boutte, but outside of that, that has to be one of the biggest questions today. Now, Jontre Kirkland did great. It looks like every single quarterback is comfortable with Jontre Kirkland, as evidenced by him jumping all over the field on Saturday and ended up putting some stupid stats. But did Kirkland ever feel threatening in the way that a Boutte did? I'm not quite sure. And then I don't know if this is just maybe it's a result of the rain or the vibes, but did it feel a little slow at times? Did you feel like the speed was there for this LSU team? I might be reading too much into this. These are my very surface level thoughts after watching this.
A little slow. I don't know. I don't know if I say I felt a little slow, but you definitely missing some playmakers that would have sped the game up. But that's obviously an observation. Like when you start looking at the playmakers, a Trey Palmer wasn't out there, but still, John Emery wasn't out there. So I could see where you could see that. Nobody
was to be found in the tight end position. Now Nick Storrs did have a nice 3rd and 3 first down, which was fun. But really, Cole Taylor and Nick Storrs never felt like a threat. I guess Kirkland did at times for sure. It felt more just solid.
We've seen Dre Jenkins in his LSU career be explosive, though.
I mean, so are those the top 3 receivers then? Is it Dre Jenkins, Jontre Kirkland, and Kayshon Boutte? That's how it felt.
I think Corey Moore's in that conversation. John Trey's going to have a role in this team. There's a reason he came back. and you're right about they probably feel comfortable with him. I think he'll be more of just not a special teams guy, but I still would put, if I had to say the top three, I would say Butte and Jeray Jenkins and Coy Moore.
And then obviously Moore actually played a lot of running back on Saturday.
Yeah, and that's something that Coach O talked about. And look, they had two running backs on Saturday. Like literally, they had two guys out there on Saturday. But so they put Coy Moore in. But remember, in 2019, Jets did that a lot. He did a lot of he would motion the backfield and he would run a flat route on third downs. And obviously, even if he wasn't the main target, they'd run a slant behind him because they knew that linebacker was getting out there to try to cover Jets in the flat. I love that. But here's the thing. If you're going to do that, because I do think Coy Moore has some skill. I mean, he ran the ball as well. If you do that, it's on the coaches not to fall into tendencies, because you don't want every time Coy Moore is back there, he's free release or he's getting the ball. If he's back there and it looks like they have a game plan for him to be back there, that's great. But at some point, he's going to have to pass protect, right? Yeah. You have to have a six-man protection just so you change things up. And Jake Peetz has been in the NFL. He realizes tendencies probably more than anybody, because the NFL, you can't have those. So if Coy Moore can go back there, hey, look, just cut the guy. I mean, if he can do those type of things, that's a real weapon to create a mismatch. And he has skills with the ball in his hand as far as being a runner as well.
It is interesting, though, that we would already be putting so much stock into Coy Moore at a position that, he doesn't really play. Now, not to say that he can't do it, but it just shows running back's definitely an issue. And then kind of the position that I always viewed as the inverse of running back, but on the defensive side of the ball, linebacker, right? It's kind of opposite. I think linebacker has a potential to be a real issue. Damone Clark, I think but you
didn't see two. There's two guys that are going to push you to the starter that weren't there on Saturday.
Yeah. And shout out Jared Small. He did a great job, came up with a nice pick. I really enjoyed watching Jared Small play. And as a Baton Rouge native, a senior, he's a cat that has sat there and grinded. And so it was really cool for him to get to do that on the spring game level on TV in front of everyone. But if Jared Small's your starting middle linebacker coming to SEC play, you're going to struggle to cover some of these tight ends. You're going to struggle to cover some of these weapons. And then as far as Damone Clark goes, Jake, though, I didn't quite see the aggression that I was hoping for, right? It looks still like a bit passive at times. Now, when he does get aggressive, it showed up. He had the 4th and 1 stop where he was coming downhill, blew the play up. It was really nice, but still a bit too much reading. A lot of times with Clark, it's I see him identify the play, and then I want to see him shot out of a gun downhill attacking. And instead he's recognizing, and then he's breaking down and waiting and catching. And that's what got him into a bit of trouble last season. So I think my biggest concern on the other side of this, now granted Bug Strong Company didn't play, but he's an unknown to begin with. My biggest concern would be running back and linebacker.
Yeah, and then you get Mike Jones from Clemson. Yep. But again, to your point, he's coming from somewhere else. You don't know how he's going to transition on this team. I did see strides from Damone Clark. You still want to see him get back to the 2019 Damone Clark. That's a conversation we had on the broadcast many times. In 2019, he was rushing against guards and being more physical than the guards, right? Yeah. I mean, he was someone that you didn't want to see 35. He was coming to hit you.
But it's at a zero mental responsibility position. You know what I'm saying? If you're rushing the passer, that's all you're doing. Third down, don't think about anything. Think about your pass rush move, have a plan, and go.
Right. But I'm saying maybe he's better as an off linebacker than he is a Mike linebacker, because there's not as much thinking process in an off linebacker. So if one of the other two, Bug Strong or Mike Jones, now I don't think Mike Jones is big enough. I think he's more of a hybrid Jabril Cox safety linebacker, more of a nickel linebacker. But if Bug Strong can be that guy and then Damone Clark can kind of play free, I do think that benefits him, because we've seen it benefit him. But look, it's still a position of concern because of what you saw on Saturday. Now, you could also pump some sunshine and say the two guys we just mentioned and Micro Baskerville, if he gets all his things worked out and he's back on the field.
Forget Baskerville.
Okay, that's three starter quality people that weren't there on Saturday. So that room can be fixed. I'm far more worried about running back than I am linebacker, to be honest with you.
That makes sense. Maybe linebacker was just struggling from missing names as much as anything else. But at running back, who are you're going to be relying on true freshmen to maybe come in and change the dynamics of that room, which I would rather rely on the more experience of Bug Strong and Mike Jones and true freshmen. So those are things that I think concern me. I actually come out of the other side feeling very good about the offensive line, a lot because of the emergence of Anthony Bradford, which we could circle back around to a bit later as we got Austin Thomas coming up. We're going to talk to him next. And then we'll talk quarterbacks later in the show as well as all four. It was a really well done quarterback rotation. Kind of to your point, given how many moving parts there were in terms of changing jerseys and guys switching sides and the reps and how they were allocated based on the quarters. I thought that, and this sounds really stupid, but with how dysfunctional things appeared at times last year, it actually is a credit to everything ran like a well-oiled machine on Saturday. And the quarterback reps were emblematic of that as you tried basically every single combination that you could in terms of who's repping with the ones and the twos, and we'll get down to who we thought won that race. So coming up next here on Off the Bench Show, let's talk to LSU football general manager Austin Thomas. Keep it locked right here. We'll get the inside scoop on spring and continue to give you our thoughts as well. Keep it locked right here on OTB. Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome back. OTB, breaking down the spring game here. Still got a ton of thoughts to get to. I want to really lean in to the quarterback conversation, so we're going to say that for after weekend winners. But I do want to talk about some other positives. I didn't mean to, whatever. It doesn't matter. I got into some of my kind of gripes with Saturday or where I thought LSU could improve. Some of the things that gave me heart, I'm not nearly as worried about the LSU offensive line depth as I was going into it. I think there's a bit of a disconnect with how people viewed the offensive line's play on Saturday. The first offensive line was actually really good. Certainly they didn't win every rep, but they won the vast majority. I think what it is, Jake, is that the second offensive line, and when you got deeper into even, down into like the threes, and sometimes they really, really struggled. Like, especially at the end of the game, Jaquelin Roy was clearly better than everybody on that second offensive line. Like, you could see who played a full SEC season and who has not had that seasoning. But the reason why I feel so much better about the O-line, like I said, the ones were strong, but I get now why Coach O came on here and said that Anthony Bradford is maybe the best blocker on the team. This cat can play. He's definitely still always runs the risk maybe of being a little too heavy. But I will say, dude, for that weight, he's not top heavy.
Yeah.
And he controls it well. And he's got that thing that all great O-linemen have where, I don't know if it's how his weight's distributed or if his athleticism allows this. But like I said, it's not top heavy. It's a centered, it's kind of an anchored to the earth weight.
Yeah.
Right? So
it's
he's
not chicken legs with a gut.
No, he's not a speedster, but like, dude, you are going to struggle to pass rush through this man. Yeah. If he is trying to push you backwards, you are going to struggle. And Jason Hines actually went out of the game with what I assume is some slight injury. Some didn't look like anything bad. But Bradford ended up taking all the ones reps after that. And I already liked him on the twos. I liked him with the ones. So now, between the starting five, Cam Wire and Anthony Bradford, you have 7 guys that I actually feel comfortable with. And then the other big takeaway was Charles Turner at center. I don't think he's as ready as a Bradford is, but he will not be a disaster if he has to come in and play center instead of Liam Shanahan. So I actually feel like there's a bit more depth in that offensive line room than I quite realized. Though once you get to Bradford, I do think the fall off is pretty extreme. Maybe Cardell Thomas is next in terms of being ready. He's not quite there. He had a very up and down thing, struggled at the beginning, got it in the middle, kind of struggled at the end again. You saw Jaquelin Roy, what he did to him. But Thomas is getting there still, but certainly 7 guys, kind of 7.5 with Turner, as opposed to just the 6 that I thought they had coming into the game.
How do you feel about Doomerville? Because that's someone that was very highly touted, and when he was able to sign with LSU from the state of Florida, a lot of people were excited about that. And I feel like it's a name, and I know he's only going into his second year, that we haven't talked about, but the expectation level was pretty high when he signed with LSU.
Yeah, I thought Doomerville, if we're just being honest, it wasn't very good, right? I mean, it was he had his moments. It wasn't like complete domination, but I did not come out of that thinking Doomerville is going to be a player. Dellinger definitely struggled as well, but you could see some of the potential there with him being so young, being an early enrollee,
high school senior.
Yeah, exactly, right. He should be going to prom, and yet He's trying to block guys off the edge at a college spring game. I like the potential of Dellinger. I don't feel like Dumerville's close to being ready. I thought Dare Rosenthal actually played really well at left tackle.
And then, I think Cam
and
Wyatt.
Dare's got this weird thing where, I don't feel like Dare, though, he has like a bad body or something. I don't know or it's like he kind of like, his form looks a little unorthodox. Like Dare feels a little top heavy, but he actually showed like excellent body control and was really good in his one-on-ones on the edge.
Yeah, I mean, he's an athlete. Like when he got here, he played defensive line, but they moved him over because they felt like he could handle it.
Yeah.
So Dare's key. I mean, he is a key piece of what they want to do, and he has to be for them to succeed, in my opinion. But I do think, like last year, Cam Wyatt getting that experience, that's a guy that, let's be honest, at least I'll be honest, I didn't think was ever going to really get any tread here at LSU. Just thought he's going to be a signee that just stood there and was the 8th, 9th, 10th offensive lineman. He got thrown in there last year, held his own, and now he's your swing guy. Yeah. I think he's the first guy in at every position almost.
I think that as well, though I do wonder with Anthony Bradford at right guard. I just, like I said, that he was one of my most positive takeaways from the day. Now maybe like, I don't know, maybe Bradford struggles if it's like more of a full game plan with the full playbook. I have no idea, no either way, but I thought he played well. So yeah, but Cam Wyatt, what he proved to you last year. Now I do think though that still only puts you with 3 tackles, right? You got Deculus, you got Rosedal, you got Wyatt you're comfortable with. If you have to go deeper than those tackles, I would still be a bit concerned because that was one of the other kind of maybe negative takeaways with the offensive line. Those second team tackles leave a bit to be desired right there. But overall, I would say solid day for the starters and a really good day for Anthony Bradford, kind of showing that I think he's ready to play on that level.
At some point later on the show, we will talk about another position that we had questions about, and that's edge rusher. B.J. Ojulari has gained some weight. Looks like he is going to play that part, a 3-down edge rusher, and he was at times almost unblockable on Saturday.
What about what? No, speaking of unblockable, dude, Sony Fanua, the guy rocking the 5'3".
Best looking 5'3" I've seen in LSU.
I mean, that spin move, bro. We got plenty more to break down for this LSU spring game. Keep it locked right here. Hour 2, weekend winners coming up next.
Off the bench with Hester and T-Bob.
You know what else was fun to talk about and fun to watch this weekend? The LSU spring game. And because there was so much talk around the quarterback position. Oh, wait, actually, can we start here? Was that the worst production that you have ever seen? And Jake, I know you can't speak to this, but did y'all watch it all on SEC Network Plus or anything? Anybody back there? Moose, no. You were probably watching baseball. Danny, no. Mario, no. Okay, well. Probably should have workshopped this one in the break then, boys. Yeah,
because you
nobody can join me.
Listening to this station because Gordy and I were with Doug Murrow calling the game.
Well,
so you should have turned your TV down and your radio up.
I paid the price because
who was it? I don't even know.
I don't remember the play-by-play. Whatever. I don't even want to highlight the names because I don't want to like crap on the guys. But it was very clearly, you got these out-of-town guys who are coming to talk about the team. And you end up with like the most boilerplate talking points. But on top of that, the audio was very robotic the entire time. Like they were clearly having audio issues. Ooh. Bunch of pronunciation. It just, whatever.
Ooh. Pronunciation. Tell me the best one.
It does it. It just from a
for someone
like I had to mute it when watching the film.
Oh.
Like that's how badly it annoyed me.
Well,
I watched the film.
I say that because
music
I've been known to redneck a last name up. So yeah, I can find some value.
And I'm not married to the pronunciation. It's less about the announcers and more about maybe just what they were asked to do. I just think that, they've maybe used a more local voice that could have been. It just all felt very.
So basically you're saying Lynn Rollins should have been on the call.
I mean, you know me. I would put Lynn on every call. I would put Lynn on. Lynn. I love Lynn. I love Lynn.
Like when he's not calling an LSU baseball game, you question where he's at.
Fair? I think from an entertainment standpoint, he is the most entertaining. Him and Hart as far as the TV play-by-play guys go. But whatever. So the production quality is bad, but the quarterback play was pretty good on Saturday. I think it was a bit of a mixed bag. Obviously, TJ Finley, Max Johnson, and Miles Brennan are the ones that I think are most directly competing for the starting job. I think there's a lot of interesting talk around Garrett Nussmeier. But, Jake, I'll start with you in terms of our poll question where we asked, who do you think had the best day on Saturday out of the quarterbacks?
So obviously, Miles had the big play with the fake spike and the touchdown pass, and Miles is still, I think, trying to recover from the injury that he had. I mean, he sat still for months.
Yeah.
I mean, that should be highlighted, right? Because he wasn't able to do anything. Like, he couldn't rehab it. He basically had to just sit still. So obviously there's going to be some rust there. I didn't see it. Actually, I thought there would be more. A lot of people are pointing out he still held on to the ball for a long time. I think that's something that last year he did the first game, but he got better. And you saw, like, by the time they got to Missouri, that was something that he had fixed. But I definitely thought for me it was Miles and Max that were the two better of the four. Obviously, Nussmeier's a young player, gunslinger mentality. He'll learn from it. They were playing cover one free, and, and he was going up and down the field. Then once they showed one disguise, 2 times they got him by doing that, and the linebacker was in that window that he wasn't in before. Those are things that he'll learn. Again, he's a high school senior. I saw enough to know that there's a true skill set there. He's not ready. I think everybody knows that. He's a true freshman that's not even a freshman right now. So there was some things to like. TJ, the one thing that still gives TJ problems is showing off his arm, and it's every big arm quarterback in the history of big arm quarterbacks, right? That's the one thing that they have to continue to work on. The interception that he threw to Stingley, he threw it into double coverage. He threw the deep route. Coy Moore is underneath and is going to get you 15 to 20 yards. He ran a drag route, was 7 yards deep by himself. He catches that. He's going to go north and south for 20 yards.
Yeah, he was that tells me that he was locked in at pre-snap.
Right.
He knew where he was going with that ball. He wasn't reading much after, and that's Finley. He struggled early on, but then he was getting into a flow, and you were seeing that arm. And he was actually spreading the ball around. And like last season, he looked really good with a clean pocket, but. The 2 big mistakes, sometimes that's what it takes when we're trying to evaluate you in these sort of situations, and he just he overlocked in on his pre-snap read, and it cost him both times.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I think Max does maybe better than any quarterback on this roster is goes through his progressions. Like on the Keishawn Butte blown coverage touchdown that got called back because of a block in the package. Can't happen behind the ball, but that's neither here nor there. It was his third progression. He went 1, 2, 3, and he does it quickly, and he takes care of the ball. Like the arm strength, it might be fourth. It might be fourth.
Yeah, he hit that one throw. Was it to Coy Moore on on a flag where a floater of a ball, but dropped it in the bucket, but like right there in the corner. But to your point, not a lot of zip on Max's throws, but who cares? You get the ball there.
But
that's
he
all
takes
that
care of the football. He doesn't have to force a throw to make something happen because he's mobile enough to be able to run, and we saw that 3 or 4 times. So for me, the guys that played the best were Miles and Max, and I think that's obvious to anybody that watched the game. Miles still continues to be really accurate with his deep balls, which I think is the strongest part of his game. So now the conversation is, at what point in camp do you start to give the reps to the 2 guys that you think are truly in this job battle?
Yeah.
Because whoever 3 is, because Garrett Nussmeier knows where he's at right now. Like, eventually he'll be in that conversation and be in the battle. But what happens if the 3rd guy in this battle is strictly with the 2s, not getting any first-team reps? Like, that's what you have to worry about. But Coach O said it after the game. When camp starts, we have really got to give the reps to the guy that we think is going to be the quarterback against UCLA.
Yeah.
Because it's not spring practice. You have a limited time. You don't have OTAs like you do in the NFL. You have to go out there and you have to say, if this is who we think the guy is, he's got to get 70% of the snaps with the first team.
So through those parameters, Max and Miles, I think, clearly have separated from the group. And it's interesting you say that on Nussmeier because we have the exact same breakdown. I have it written right here. Exciting young, but at the end of the day, just not ready yet. Still, he didn't look helpless, and he's way closer than I would have thought that he would be, given his age and everything else. Like, you can see why there is this underlying kind of theme of excitement around Garrett Nussmeier. Jake, how about how he responded to the picks, right?
Yeah.
He
straight gunslinger. Didn't care.
He throws picks and did not miss a beat. He came back out there and just got better, right? And some of the throws that he was put in. Like, he was throwing into tight windows after throwing these picks. So I was kind of like, okay, right there, that's some intangibles that a lot of times you kind of struggle to develop. You kind of have to have it, and he has it.
His arm is better than I thought it was. I really didn't know that he had that type of arm strength. I don't know if you remember this one play, but he got sacked and they blew the whistle, but they blew it and he was already kind of in the motion and he kind of just sidearms one. It was like a 15-yard
step
out.
Up? Yeah, that would not have been a sack.
I don't think so either.
I mean, there's a chance maybe he was really trying to hit him that he comes more down his chest, but I don't think so, dude. I mean, he had that little hop up and then sidearm to the side, and that looked.
It was like a 15-yard out, and there was some zip on it.
No, I mean that was, and that would have been, in my opinion, that would not have been a sack and would have been complete. So, yeah, he's got a little bit.
Yeah. So, look, we could pick apart all four quarterbacks. There was some good, there was some bad. I thought the top two guys, I thought they were consistent most of the day.
Well, Max's day was a bit more interesting. Where I thought that Miles came out and was more solid early on and kind of remained solid. I think Max did struggle at first, and his numbers reflected that early on. Now, in classic kind of Max, we love his intangibles. That's what we always talk about fashion. After Miles throws that fake spike touchdown, all of a sudden something seemed to click with Max. And I think he completed like his next 10 passes or something like that. And I know that he and interestingly, he did it with the twos, which I think you could take a couple of different ways. I take it as a positive, just meaning that even that when he was with the ones, he still managed to find success. But I guess I thought at the beginning Max was trying too hard to make the big play, and he needed to kind of be willing to accept more underneath stuff. And then he did that in the second half, and it went much better for it. I keep going back to what Drew Brees taught Jameis Winston, what Jameis Winston was talking about. Don't be focused on the outcome of the play. Be focused on, did I make the correct decision? And if you do that over time, the outcomes will take care of themselves. So you have to be willing to take that swing pass or the underneath route. You don't have to go for it all the time like he was at the beginning. And Max improved when he started to do that.
I think you're right about it. And sometimes it's not going to be pretty. Like sometimes Max looks a little unorthodox, and maybe because he's a lefty, maybe because he has the ability to escape in the pocket. Maybe it's because he also has the ability to step up. I think as well as I've seen really a young quarterback in the pocket because of the training that he's had over time, right?
Yeah.
Like you see that intangible where he steps up and he does a really nice job of taking care of the football when he does it. And that's one of the things I think he does really well is he takes care of the football, right? And he knows when to throw it away. He knows when to tuck and run. He knows, like we see here in this clip, like he knows exactly what to do with the football, and he doesn't press and he doesn't try to do too much with the football, which – a lot of people might say you're playing it safe. No, I think he's playing it smart.
Yeah, and when you're talking about quarterback, that's going to be, as long as it doesn't become like it did in the Miles era, the end-all, be-all, like the main thing is don't turn the ball over because then you paralyze a quarterback with fear.
Yeah, but I don't think he has that.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm saying that's when it goes to the tipping point. But no, he just is taking care of the ball. And to be fair, that would be one of the knocks against Miles' day is he had a couple balls that could have been picked, but were dropped by the defense. So there was the big fake spike throw from Brennan that I really liked. Obviously, it's just like a fun touchdown. But the other deep ball to Butte was the more impressive, where he looks off the safety and then attacks Derek Stingley, right? I mean, directly, and to be able to be willing to challenge him in that way shows that you got some cojones. Solid first two drives, I thought, out of Brennan. So I don't know. Look, man, a lot of people are coming out with these very declarative statements after this game, like Johnson QB1 or this or that. In my opinion, if you're really being objective with this film, I don't think there's separation between the two. Is pretty much a wash. I'll hear either argument if you want to give either guy the nod for the day. But the clear takeaway was I think those two have separated.
Yeah.
Finley has ground to make up. And then Nussmeier, while he isn't ready, is still way closer than I thought he would be at this age. Very impressed with what he's done in just a couple of months on campus.
Yeah, look, and I'd also like to see TJ push in fall camp.
Yeah.
Like, put yourself in that conversation. Like, I realize you didn't have the best day on Saturday, but, hey, be that guy that we saw against South Carolina. Come in hungry, working, and push to get into this competition, right? Because we know you have it in you. Do you have to get rid of some of the things that you don't do well? Yeah, you do, okay? The interception, we talked about it. Off the back foot, he floated it. When he does that, his arm angle, because he has a really good arm angle when he's going well, but when he's going bad, it drops down. And when you drop your arm angle down, the ball's going to float on you. It's going to hang in the air. It's going to get intercepted. But we know TJ can do the other things, right? Okay, so come into this competition and say, I'm going to be in that top conversation. Like, don't, because of a spring game or a couple of spring practices, take yourself out of it. I'd love to see him compete and come and continue to push.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see where it ends up going. What do you think? Go vote on the poll. City Jamaican Trust poll. Question of the day, 1045 ESPN Twitter page. And if you got any questions on the spring game, give them in the chat, and we'll get to it next here on OTB. I haven't thought about Jeff Garcia in a long time.
How about my man Emil with the comp? Nussmeier and Jeff Garcia. I don't hate it.
Matt Flynn giving Jacob Hester Matt just texted us again. Matt Flynn give Jacob Hester some credit. Amazing QB breakdown, guys. Jacob, great job taking a deep dive into arm angles. I got to say, I, too, was blown away with the arm angle take. That was well done.
I mean, that's what I'm here for. I'm here to break down the quarterbacks.
Yep, exactly. And then
Uncle Rico had a sidearm arm angle, like Matt lets us know in the text thread there.
Well, I asked him, I said, I would ask you, Matt, who you thought played the best, but I'm guessing there's no way that you actually watched the spring game. He said he watched first half.
Mm-hmm.
And then,
then he said something else. So
gouge his eyes out for boredom, which I mean, I kind of feel, dude. It was a slow first half offensively until the fake spike, which was fun. A lot of kind of shooting yourself in the foot in terms of how some of those drives died. Like, it wasn't a lot of 3 and outs, which I did like, but a lot of maybe get a couple first down, then there's a penalty, a couple negative plays, and you couldn't quite overcome it.
Also, look, obviously I'm an offensive guy, so I'm going to take up for the offense. They both teams had 1 running back. So it became
running ball was not much of a threat.
We say don't get into tendencies. Well, you kind of had to because you had 2 running backs, and that's why you mentioned the linebackers. Like I right now I'm nervous about the running back position because your 2 guys at the top, TDP and Emory, are very, very talented football players. You want to see them be more consistent. I understand that, but they also have an injury history as well. So that makes you a little nervous. Now, you've got some very talented freshmen coming in. You've got Bradford, who is going to be there as well. So you'll have 5 guys to choose from. And, again, I think you can play at that position early in your career. But the health issue is a concern for me as well. You have to – look, in this offense, we saw it on Saturday. Even though you want to call it vanilla, we saw on Saturday that they've got a plan to use the running back like they did in 19. Clyde Edwards-Helaire was a crucial piece in the success. We could talk about the receivers and Joe Burrow and Thaddeus Moss because they deserve that, but Clyde running for 1,500 yards, catching 50 passes.
Yeah, 50
That
balls.
man caught 50 passes as a running back, okay? So you know that, and for this offense to be at its peak performance, they have to be able to count on the running back to be a guy that can do it all, not just run the ball, hit home runs, pass protect, which Clyde was so good at, and get out and empty and run a real route, not a hitch.
The problem is, and it's like, to expect one guy to be able to do all that's probably unrealistic, but you would hope that the group could accomplish that, and right now you don't know that they can. So we'll see. Matt going on to say that who cares who played best? They had like 8 plays they ran, like Tecmo Bowl. That's also kind of true. I mean, it goes back to my original preface of like, these are a lot of takes that we're going to give today, but just know these are freshly planted takes. They're not the final product just yet. We haven't talked a lot of defense. Defensively, I actually thought it was a pretty spectacular day. Gone were the miscommunications of old. Yes, I'm very worried about linebacker, but the defensive line looks very deep. There is so many options on the interior, Jake, in terms of guys. Mason Smith didn't have the big moment that I thought he would have. He certainly looks impressive in his uniform, but the O-line did a good job against him. But Jaquelin Roy dominated at times. Neil Farrell Jr. one time walked back at Ingram, who had a bit of an up and down day. Glenn Logan made plays. Remember, Joseph Evans had a couple plays. Like the interior,
Guillory had a sack. Who were kind of, we're waiting on him to kind of take that next step.
Bradford did also one time have a really good pancake against Guillory in the pass block where you see his sumo strength.
I tell you, T-Bob's got a man crush on Bradford. I'm here for it.
I was very impressed.
I'm here for it because
takeaways.
Last year, and I want to get back to the defense line, but last year at this time, Coach O considered him a starter.
Yeah.
So they've thought about Bradford for a long time, but now it's on you, young man. Go out there and take someone's job.
But
say, Chasen Hines, I'm taking your job. Like, have that mentality because I agree with you. Like, he's impressive when he's on. So
well, and again, I just want to Oh, let's focus on defense. Okay, so the D-line I thought was really good. The secondary looked spectacular. Dwight McLaughlin had a hell of a day, dude. He's CB3. The question is he NB1? I'm not talking in chess notation here. I'm talking cornerback versus nickelback. Is he the third corner on the outside, which kind of makes sense with his size and everything? Yeah. Or does he play well enough where he's going to start challenging Flott for that nickel role?
It's a good question to ask, and obviously Cordell's had some ebbs and flows in his career. You're looking for him to be a little bit more consistent, and the skill set's there, but you have to be able to show it every game and not just flashes within games. So that's going to be a great question to kind of ask, when Sting Sr. comes on tomorrow. Like, hey, is Dwight more of a true outside corner? Because some guys thrive in different skill sets. So that'll be good to ask him tomorrow. But I'll tell you what, McLaughlin showed me he's got some dog in him, because I don't know if you're able to see this on the TV copy, and if you were at the game, maybe y'all saw this. Like, before the play and after the play, like, he was talking. Like, he was, like, letting Keishawn Butte know, like, I'm here. Like, it wasn't a spring game feel. It was a real, like, dog mentality.
Well, and he had the only big hit of the day. He lit up Jere Jenkins on, I think it was like a slant where he ended up breaking up the pass. But, like, it was the only time where somebody got hit and, like, went the other way, and you were kind of like, ooh. Like, it was nice.
And also remember, like, you can't move Jay Ward to free safety if Dwight's not playing well.
Yes.
Like, if McLaughlin's not playing well, then you have to keep Jay Ward as corner number 3 because you don't feel like you can make that move, and you've got to play with the safeties you have. But because he's playing well, because he had a good spring, because he finished last season really strong, you're able to move Jay Ward to free safety. Look, and
he played well.
If they play as much one free as they played on Saturday, they're not going to play just one free like they did. But who better to play that free safety than Jay Ward, a corner, right? Yeah. Everybody's manned up. You're the free safety. So all of that doesn't work if McLaughlin doesn't step up and take that job over. So he was crucial. He had to do it, and he's done it so far. So that was maybe the best thing to come out of Saturday was his play.
Jay Ward, you talking about?
The combination of Dwight McLaughlin and Jay Ward and being able to do that.
Really, and then again, just Coach Durante Jones has done a great job. It feels like with this defense, just the vibe felt like, I mean, you saw guys laughing and dancing, actually, like it was so different than last year. All right, running a little long, get to break. We get some more defensive thought next. We're still going to talk about this LSU baseball series as well, new European Super League and footy. Keep it locked right here on Off the Bench. Jake, I want to wrap up defensive thoughts. Other guys that we didn't highlight. So obviously you didn't have Ali Gay or Andre Anthony who are going to be key edge guys, but I love the play of number 53, Sony Fanua.
You did.
And remember, it's not just because he's number 53, but Coach O on Tuesday went out of his way to mention him. It was like, hey, look, even Sony has played well. A JUCO guy, I think he was a JUCO guy originally, who has grinded, continued to kind of work his way up in the depth chart, and he could end up being a factor this year. He was the one that drew the holding penalty on Deculus, that killed the goal line drive in the first half.
Caused a fumble.
He caused a fumble. He had, I think, like 3 pressures. He had a really nice spin move at one point. Like he looked strong. He looked fast. He looked aggressive. He looked like a legitimate player. And then I know you came away very impressed with Ojulari.
Yeah.
And then you add in Anthony and Ali Gay, who were both very high on. You combine that with the interior of the defensive line, and you see that you have a very strong D-line group, maybe the best group on the entire team.
I hope they get creative, and I think they will. I hope they get creative with how they rotate that defensive line. For all the names you just mentioned, you throw in there Joseph Evans and Glenn Logan and Neil Farrell and Toby Guillory and Jaqueline Roy and Mason Smith. I mean, all of these names, okay? So you have the deepest position group on the team, and you can get unorthodox. Like, don't be afraid, and I don't think they will, to change it up. Maybe you go, with a bigger lineup one time. Maybe you go with the speed rushers one time. You have 8 guys that can play in the SEC on the defensive front right now. Like, they're ready right now to play, okay? And that position rotates more than any position on the football field.
Yeah.
I know when I go back to our championship team, like, we had obviously one of the best defensive players in SEC history in Glenn Dorsey, but we also had Charles Alexander. We also had Marlon Favorite. We had Tyson Jackson. We had Kirsten Pittman. I mean, we had so many names and so many rotating bodies that obviously, like, there's not really starters on the defensive line. There's just not. And that's what this defensive line has. Like, nobody's really going to be considered a starter because they're going to be rotating so much, and you're going to see so many different packages. Like, give me Mason Smith lined up against a tight end. Like, you can do that because he's athletic enough to do it, and then you don't lose anything on the interior because you've got dudes inside. So you're not taking away from his strength and putting him on the outside. Like, you still have a guy in the interior that can be a hell of a pass rusher as well. So I think they'll do some of that, and with it being the strength of the team and it already being a position that naturally just rotates, you have to take full advantage of that and get after whatever offensive line you play. Throw a fresh body at them every series. Fresh body. Here they come. Get ready.
Yeah, exactly.
Because for 60 minutes, they're giving you hell.
Absolutely. And that takes away one of the offense's greatest advantages, which is wearing you down over the four quarters. So,
especially now in this day and age of college football, when you're going to go tempo every series for the most part, that's fine. Go tempo because next series you're getting 4 new cats.
So I really like the D-line on the other side of this. I thought it was nice seeing Darius Jones make a couple of plays. I don't know how he factors into this overall. He was playing safety, though, right, Jones, wasn't he? So at a time we're looking for good safety play. He had a nice pick on Finley. Still maybe Finley making it a bit too easy, but he had a couple nice plays nonetheless. Love seeing Derek Stingley Jr. make plays. Had one pick, almost 2. It was a tough tie ball with him and Butte in the first quarter. I would score it to the offense. I would actually.
Butte went there and got it because Stingley broke on it and had it in his hands, and Kayshawn took it.
Yeah, it was a
nice play.
It was. So he almost had 2 picks, and the one that he did get, Stingley, was just classic Derek Stingley, just showing incredible ball skills, diving and staying in bounds on the end zone. We mentioned Neil Farrell. Antoine Sampa had a nice pick. How about Sampa? How gritty is this? Playing middle linebacker, no gloves. No gloves, showing off the soft hands. I thought that was excellent. And then my last note of the day, well, actually, besides the fact that Cade York continues to be a monster. LSU has the weirdest linebacker rooms numerically that I've ever seen in my entire life. Josh White is number 10. Antoine Sampa is number 34. Phillip Webb is 39, which is maybe the grossest number I've ever seen on a football play.
And then 39, yes.
Oh, dude, I think, well, you're right because 39 divides by 3, so I agree with you there. Hunter Faust is 37, Clark's 18, Bug Strong's 22. In fact, Jared Small and Aaron Benfield are the only linebackers in the 50s. So,
that's college football now. I mean, think about this. Your edge rushers are going to be wearing 3 and 8. Your defensive tackle's wearing 0.
I guess I'm just becoming an old man.
Yeah, you're yelling at numbers. What are you doing,
I'm not upset about, 18 and 22 are actually fine. I don't like these numbers in the 30s.
You say that because I wore 18 and 22. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Oh, wow. God. I did just kind of accidentally gas you up there.
Appreciate that.
No, but, bro, 34? Who's ever been I want to be number 34 on a football field or 39?
Give us your best number 34. Like Nolan Ryan in baseball, but give me your best 34 in football. Can you think of one?
Ricky Williams? Was Ricky Williams 34?
Mike McKenzie?
I think so.
Yeah.
Mike McKenzie. Okay, hell yeah.
Mike McKenzie.
I feel like it's 2 better 34s than I thought we were going to come up with coming to that. Try to name me a 39.
Russell Gage.
Has there ever been a player that has had success with the number 39?
Russell Gage.
In the NFL, he's not 39.
Yeah, but he wore it for a hot second at LSU.
Yeah, but he never played at LSU. I guess he did at the end. He had the bunny hops.
Well, he was 83 at the point when he was playing.
Exactly.
Didn't Earl Campbell?
We're 39?
No, 34. Walter Payton, was he 30? Walter Payton?
Okay, so 34 has actually got a much more storied history than we maybe realize.
Let me Google 39 because those are top of my head. I can't think of 39.
I can't think of one. 39. So, okay, Jake, but any other...
no, wait a minute. This is more of my speed.
Yeah, exactly right.
This is more of my talk. I'm getting ready for Flynn on Wednesday.
As we put the bow, though, as we put the bow on the spring game, any other defensive thoughts or any thoughts overall?
No, just my entire thought process is I just needed to see it look like a functional, just what it's supposed to be defense. Line up, know your assignment, communicate. When someone goes in motion, all hell should not break loose like it did last year. So it was good to see that. They made plays on the ball. They rushed the passer. They brought different guys in that had success. And look, regardless of what you think of a guy like Jared Small, it was good to see a guy like that thrive in the spring game and see linebackers actually make plays and make tackles and, intercept the football, all those type of things. So I just needed to see the basics of it. And that sounds like low expectations, but it is because last year was so bad that it wasn't even basic.
And look, I may be writing off Small, and he played well and had a good spring game, so maybe that's on me. And I hope that he proves me wrong. But right now, my biggest takeaways would be
real quick on him. Blake Baker mentioned his name twice when we've talked with him 2 times.
Yeah, they obviously like him. I mean, he's taking 1 reps. I mean, and it's no guarantee that Jones or anybody or Strong's going to come out and take it from him. But I just mean he's a guy who on paper, like you would be worried about carrying him into SEC play. But those guys prove you wrong all the time, right? Clemson has one of those linebackers every year where you're like, that guy doesn't seem like he probably belongs on the same field, but he's still actually doing it and making plays.
You talking about the Clemson guy with the neck roll every year?
Every year they have that guy who athletically doesn't feel like he's on that level, but performs on that level. Maybe that's what Small ends up being. I hope I'm proven wrong because my big takeaways are I'm still really worried about linebacker a bit more than I even was. And then secondly would just be a second playmaker has to emerge. A threat outside of Kayshon Boutte. And I don't know that I saw that on Saturday.
I think it's fair to ask. I know they have Canada. I think Dre Jenkins is going to be that second playmaker as far as receivers. He did it last year. Nothing to say he can't do it again this year. I'm not going to take a lot from that one spring game. And you had 2 running backs for the entire roster. Like both teams combined had 2 running backs. I know,
but even with Dre, it's like nobody felt like I keep using that word threatening. Nobody, when the ball was in their hand, felt like,
you weren't running the concepts that you're going to be running in the game. So
they didn't manufacture as much space as they will in a
tight
game.
end has to emerge. I will completely agree with you there.
And a Rick Gilbert would go so perfectly with this offense.
I'm just can I put this out there? I asked him how he says his name, and from his mouth to my ears, he said Eric Gilbert.
Oh God. Okay. I've gone everywhere.
Everybody has.
I'm going to Rick. I mean, Rick.
Gordy
Eric.
went both on the broadcast,
Rick.
and I think we all do because but that's what he told me from his.
It's
his
just
mouth.
there's okay. So he said Eric to you.
Yeah, I don't know if he was like, I'm tired of y'all saying it wrong.
Did he say a Rick or Eric?
He said it was more Eric.
See, I think that might be
Eric Gilbert. If you're a hillbilly like me, it all sounds the same. Regardless, his status is still. I know they talked about it on the broadcast.
I'm just saying he would go. Yeah, they did, but he would go very nicely with this offense.
And I know he's got beyond one hurdle to be able to jump over before that can even be a possibility. But don't forget, you got some freshmen. A guy like Jack Besh can instantly. The receiving part of it can be an upgrade on it.
Yeah, I hope so.
By the
playmaker
way,
needed.
I'm like a little kid. I can't wait. There's one number 39 that played the best position in football that you failed to mention when you said number 39.
Okay, he played the best position
in football, the grittiest position.
So he played fullback.
Yep. Anybody?
Is it somebody that you played with?
No, he's a little bit older than I am.
Is it Natron Means?
No, Natron wore 20.
I don't know, dude.
And he was a running back.
Took a shot. I know, but he looked like a fullback.
He played on an undefeated team.
Zonka?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Larry Zonka was 39. Yeah, that makes sense.
Look at that jaw.
I would say that checks out, given that 39, if you're good in 39, that's about as gritty as you could possibly be. And if you're just talking about grit in football players, I mentioned Sampa with the no gloves pick earlier. No surprise.
Look at
Larry
that face
Zonka,
mask.
no gloves.
With the bullhorn? Are you kidding me?
Wow.
Grit.
That is as blue collar.
He's got blood on his thigh pad right there, T-Bob.
The only way that Larry Zonka could be more blue collar in this picture is if he played for maybe Chicago or Minnesota.
I was
maybe
say
smaller.
Minnesota.
Yeah, maybe like a Minnesota because he still is in South Beach, which is a little highfalutin. But outside of that.
And Bo Jackson was 34 as well.
Okay, so 34 is actually awesome.
Yeah, true.
We're idiots. Yeah. In terms of running backs, there's actually a hell of a running back lineage with the number 34 between Ricky Williams, Bo Jackson, and Walter friggin' Payton.
Yeah, I didn't have the chat up when I was going off the top of my head. Steven Jackson wore 39. That's one I forgot.
Yeah, okay.
I was so excited to get to my Larry Zonka take that I forgot to look at the chat. They would have helped us out.
I've never seen someone.
Bo Jackson, pretty good in 34.
As physically impressive as Steven Jackson. That dude.
Oh, you played with him, huh?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, it's like 6'4", two triangles. Where, when people have that body type where it's like a triangle with the point down meets another triangle with the point up. And it was just crazy, dude. He looked like a Greek statue come to life. All right, when we get back, there's your spring ball talk. It's now time for baseball. Moose, wipe your tears. It's okay. We're going to break it down next here on OTB.
OTB, OT.